Hello, ladies, and welcome to episode 72. I pray that you're doing amazing, and I really hope that you are enjoying all the podcast guests that I've been bringing on. Because when I tell you that I've had a great time doing this, I am not kidding. I love to not only interact with these amazing women, but also to help share the love and spread the message across our military community. And so, if you are new here, I want to personally welcome you, and I would love for you to continue to tune in to listen to these amazing women's stories, but also to go back and see what episode would resonate with you. And, would love to hear from you and know how that is going. You can send me an email to hello@wendyray.com. And you can also get in contact with me in the show notes. You will see my links to my social media and website and everything else. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest. And today we have Lieutenant Colonel Jada Hartfield. And before I actually get to introduce her formally, I'm going to go ahead and read the bio that she shared with us because not only does she have a lot of experience when it comes to, supporting the women community, she's also an amazing human being. So with that, Jada Hartfield is a self proclaimed, multifaceted, multi passionate, and multitask oriented warrior woman here to serve and teach you how to master your life. Growing up, there was always an expectation for excellence, regardless of what I participated in. And I participated in a lot, from the soccer fields to the stage competing for the covenant title of Miss Texas. In the second grade, I made up my mind and told everyone that when I grew up, I was going to be a lawyer and drive a 740 Volvo. I had it all figured out. Well, fast forward some 30 years or so. In full disclosure, I did not fulfill either of those dreams. Funny how life works and how there are times when things work out better than you could have foreseen. I now have 20 plus years in the Army Reserve, recently earning the rank of lieutenant colonel. On top of that, I've been married for almost 10 years. I am a mother of three, including twins, and I am in a position to pay it forward to other females ready and willing to master areas in their lives to send the trajectory of their success even further ahead. I've always been involved in numerous activities as I have many passions, and they have all allowed me to build relationships. As I look back, I know my purpose is truly to pour into others any and everything that I can. That is why I have a number of programs for women who are interested in the military, to busy mamas, to women who are ready to break through and become better. I look forward to being a part of your journey as you master your life. So let's go, warrior woman. Let's go, Jada. Welcome, and we're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, first of all. It's always an honor when someone will make and take time and give you space. So thank you for what you're doing. It's been amazing to listen to your podcast and for you to have this platform. So thank you.
Absolutely. And you guys, funny how Jada and I connected. It was kind of a moment that I think it was supposed to happen. Again, we're both faith-based, and I believe in the power of God working through one another. And I was honestly getting ready for the day, and I don't really check my Instagram like every morning. I try to check it every other day. And that day I checked it, and I think it had been a couple of days that you started following me, and I was curious to kinda learn who you were and how we connected, and I immediately saw that you were a coach and you helped other veterans, other women, and I think you had your MIA stuff on there too, Master It All, and I was just so curious to learn so much about her, not only because you have beautiful photos and a beautiful family, but really because, you serving and helping other women is really what really, brought me closer to you to kinda get to connect with you, and I immediately followed her back, and as I'm sending her a message, she responds immediately, and she's like, "I was actually thinking about or listening to another podcast." And so that's kinda how I knew that you had found me through this platform, and, I am so happy that you were able to do that because when I tell you I love to meet other women, I love to be able to connect with like-minded women, especially if you're a veteran. I mean, it's so important for all of us to get to know one another and really see what is happening within our own industries. And I think that that was, the best thing that day because we immediately connected. We set up a time to chat, and we just wanted to learn more about each other. So I thought that was, a really great thing that social media and podcast is doing, so that we can connect from wherever you are and really set up times like these. And with that, I would love to kind of go ahead and, ask you, what did or when did this passion start for you? Because it seems like it's been forever based on your bio.
Well, it's very interesting because my husband will be like, "Jada, what is it you're trying to do? Because you keep moving the target." And I'm like, "Well, no, not really. Not really moving it." I was raised by 2 great parents, but they were like, "Hey, that's great, you made a 98, but why didn't you make a 100?" Right? So I was always striving for something. It wasn't a matter of, "Where are you gonna go to college?" or, "Are you gonna go?" It was like, "When are you going? What are you gonna major in?" Right? Like, we had it all lined and mapped out before I went. So I did those things. I joined Army ROTC because my daddy was like, go check it out. I ended up loving it. And I never thought I would join the army, and it worked out. But I'm saying all that to say I didn't really feel this passion until maybe about four years ago. Because I was like, what
Mm,
can I do? What can I do that's going to give me some flexibility and being a servant? How do I pour in and help somebody else? So I think I've been prepped all of my life to get to
yeah.
this point, but it was a matter of things just happening to be like, "No, this is what you were set to do. This is your purpose." And so, now I'm just getting more serious about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I love that you mentioned in your bio too that, sometimes we plan for things, well in advance, and it doesn't happen that way, right? And I love how you gave us, your example, but also with, you being in the military still, right? Still serving as a reservist and being a senior leader. And not only, to mention as an African American woman, right? I know when I was serving, it was very difficult to connect with other women alone in my field, more even so within, women of color. So, for you, being that you mentioned, this has started, about 4 years ago, do you think that it started because of your experience in the military, or is it something that just kind of started by your own experience?
Um, I would say I have been fortunate. This military career thing has definitely worked out for me, even though that was not the plan. I was fortunate in having some really great assignments and which gave me it kind of exposed me, right? So when you're working in the chief of staff office or if you are the general's aide, I had some great assignments, but it put me out there. So I was fortunate that I had women of color who was like, "Come here, baby sister. Let me help you
Wow.
out." I know you're only a little lieutenant, but you're gonna set up your TSP. I know you're
Mm,
only this, but we're gonna set your foundation. So, I was fortunate that I had that, and even backing up a little bit, my dad came down when I got ready to before I signed my contract in ROTC, and I'm like, "I want guaranteed reserve. I thought I wanted to go to law school, of course, so I want guaranteed to be able to work with JAG, and I want a 2-year scholarship." So, my dad was my advocate. So, he came down there and I got everything I wanted. Because I've had those examples and people to bring me along, it's only right for me to take that and
mm,
share that with the next person. So, you talked a little bit, you mentioned the programs, and I have one about face, which is really to bring women who have an interest or think they want to go into the military. Let me be that advocate. Let's get into a
mhm.
roadmap. Let's figure out your ROI. What is your return on investment that you want?
Yeah,
'Cause you don't know what you don't know. So, because
right.
I had those things and I was fortunate for that, and I've been blessed because of that, I just wanna give that to somebody else. So, when the coaching came about, it was more like, "Okay, what is it that you can share with other people?" And at first it was people, and I was like, "No, I specifically want to help our females because we have our own set of issues."
Right,
And then especially if you, have a little bit of color to you, like, you have another set of issues. So,
right.
where are those people that are going to help you? And then I would also say, you have to ask for help. So, yeah,
Mm,
I had the opportunity to be mentored by, Lieutenant General Bingham. I was able to sit down with Lieutenant General McQuistion, but I asked for that. So, I wanted that mentorship. I wanted to understand that so that I could be better. So, I wanna take all that and I'm like, "Here. run and go do this. Do better than I did, Make that trajectory just keep going up, for all of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it just all kinda came about like that.
Yeah, I love that. And, I love that you brought up that point because it's true, right? As women, we have a whole other set of issues. And I wouldn't even say issues, for the most part. Yeah, there are different things that, there's an obstacle that comes, when we have to go to the field for X amount of days, right? Like we really have to be careful with, our hygiene. And I think that is, what I would consider, obstacles and how do we overcome that. But I think also that, that's the uniqueness that comes along with, being a female soldier, airman, Marine. And it's not to take away of, what everybody else is going through, right, as a human being, right? I mean, of course, men also have emotions, and of course, men also have to take care of the hygiene. May not be as important to them as it is to us, but that's a whole nother conversation. But the reality is that I think for us to trust, our leadership, for us to really come in as a team,
Mhm.
we first want to be able to be comfortable with the people around us, right? So we want to build that trust. And, one of the ways that we do that is by getting to know one another, learning from one another. And if there's another woman, right by our side or that is leading, I think we're, better off and have a better start on, okay, if, Lieutenant Colonel Hartfield is doing it and, she's done it and she has a family. And by the way, she has kids. And by the way, she's also into, extracurricular things that she's, set herself for, when it comes to having goals and, really attaining other things besides her military career. I think it's very important for the young community, the young female community to really take note of that and aspire to work towards that, right? Because, you know, I'm not saying that everyone should, get married and have kids, but what I am saying is that, you know, there should be things that we're thinking about that are outside of the military, right? Because we shouldn't be confined to just our military career. We shouldn't be married to our military career. And, for all of our listeners, as I mentioned before, getting your priorities in order, right? Like, what is it that you are working, based on what your priorities are, what you truly want, instead of putting them off? Because I think that, the military does a great job already by, having us, focused on multiple things, which is a great thing. But at the same time, I know that that's something that we're working for as a big army, as big DOD, to allow every service member to, be able to spend time with family, be able to spend time in other curricular activities or even education or a business, right? Or, kind of like we're calling it here, our side hustle. But, I think that you are are doing a great job with that, and, I, admire you for taking the step on, creating this guide, and especially in our young ladies that are they have no idea of what the military looks like, what it looks like for, as a woman, and also a woman of color, right? Like, what does it look like? What obstacles will be there? And, do you have to reach out and take initiative and be proactive with networking and reaching out? And I think that that is, a beautiful thing that you're doing. And, we appreciate it because, going back 15 years ago when I first joined the military, I had no one walking me through that journey. I mean, I was like, "Can somebody help?" And no one was there to really help because
Right.
there were many women that I knew that looked like me or even, aspired to do the things that I wanted. So, I applaud you for taking that first step. And, with that, it leads me into asking you, how do you manage everything that you have? You're a wife, you're a mom, you're also a woman of faith, you are a go-getter, and, so how do you do it?
Yeah, so that's another, program I was playing with. I'm like, okay, balance. And a lot of people will say there is no balance or,
Right.
you know, but and I guess for me when I say balance, it's like not one thing or in a relationship, not one person can have everything, right? So there's
Yes.
going to be trade-offs. I think you hit a crucial point. Like you have to have priorities. My husband and I just had this conversation because I'm like, yes, I wanted to have the kids. Yes, I want to have a career. Yes, I wanna have my business. Yes, I wanna do all the things, But yeah, you have to prioritize that. You have to say,
Mhm.
"Okay, what can I do now? What can kinda be tabled?" But really, most importantly, for me, it's like when I am in whatever I'm in, then that gets my focus, right? So I have now, so sorry about this light. I have now decided that at 9 o'clock Central Time, that's it. Like work is done for the day, then babies better be down, and it's time for me and my husband to be able to have time for us,
Mhm.
right? So it's a matter to me of like scheduling out. It's a matter of setting boundaries, which I am having to relearn how to do. Um, and really, I think if there's a will, there's a way. And my daddy
Oh,
used to say,
yes.
"You can't have it all." And I'm like, "Well, because you said I can't, I am, right?" So I'm like, "I'm going to master everything, right?" So what are the things that I want to master? I want to be a great wife. I want to be a great mother, and I want to be a servant leader that's going to pour into other people. So how do I make that work? And it's really just a matter of scheduling out your time. I block out my time. I had, a good coach to say, "Hey, what are your non-negotiables? What
Mhm.
what has to be done? Like, the kids gotta get up and be fed. They gotta get to school. I have to do this 9 to 5." There's certain
Yeah.
things that I have to do, and then it's like, "Okay, what do I wanna do?" Okay, I definitely wanna work out at
Mhm.
least 30 minutes a day. I want to make sure I have time to do my journaling. So how do I make that work and fit? How do I block time off? So when it's time for me to do those things that I want to do, then I am making that happen. And then the boundaries, I think it goes back to that like, nope, this is what I'm doing. And this is not that you can't and shouldn't be flexible, but you really need to have a roadmap. I'm really big right now on like, what is your roadmap? What are you trying to get to? What is that end state, as we say? What is the mission
Right.
accomplishment? What are the
Yes.
courses of action to get there? Okay, and if this
Yeah.
happens, then what happens? My husband's always he's a MI guy, so it's always like, well, what are the second and third order effects of that? So looking at everything holistically, and then the other big piece, especially for my busy mamas, and even if you're not a mama, if you're just busy, right?
Yeah.
Um, how do you delegate and follow up? So as an officer,
Mhm.
they tell us, you delegate, you supervise, you follow up, right?
Yeah.
So you have to trust the people that are around you.
Love that.
So another thing that someone is taught is like, be okay with outsourcing some stuff.
Mhm.
Yes, warrior women. We are women heroes of war, but be smart. What are the things that you're not so great at? Make sure that you outsource that so your mission still gets accomplished. So I think if you set up a good system, you get the good, you get a village around you, you're around like-minded people that are supporting you, like you need that encouragement. Because even I have mindset problems, you're like, man, I can't do it today. You have a girlfriend that's like, yeah, might not want to, but you better get up and do it because this is what we've committed to ourselves, right? So that
Right.
helped me push through and just looking at my babies, like, what am I trying to embody for them? Who am I trying to
Mhm.
be for them to be? Um, and ultimately for these women that I just really can't wait to continue to work with and serve and help them to be their best,
Yeah.
versions of themselves and master whatever it is in their life they want to really hone in and just be great at.
Yeah, I love that. I love everything that you said, and some key points that you did bring up was when you are working on that one thing, you focus in, right? I think that that is very hard for us in this
Yeah.
age, right? Like it's 2022 with, I mean, a thousand other things going on, and I don't even mean like with like around us. I just mean within our phones or our tablet alone, right? So we have the things, we have the reminders, we have the don't forget you have to, get on this podcast at 4 o'clock. And, so we have all these things that are coming up. And I think that, when we get a moment to, let's just say we have to write the email or, plan for the next week, our minds immediately want to, like, escape, and it's like, "No, let's go do something that's more, like, busy, that actually is going to create some results right now," right? Like, we
Right.
get pulled in different directions, so I love that you mentioned that because, for all of y'all ladies listening, it's going to happen. You have laundry that you have to get done, there are dishes in the dishwasher, you have to prepare dinner, you have to, remember that it's, the next holiday that's coming up and all these other things and, going into what I really loved as well was the delegating part, right?
Mhm.
That also includes delegating the kids sometimes, right? Like with responsibilities and,
Yes.
you know,
You're 5.
als
I need you to get with it. Like, go put these
yeah,
clothes up. I want you to go
yeah,
pick them. come unfold it because you're going to learn to fold real fast.
Right. Yeah, I love, I love that, you brought that up because it's hard for me as, and I don't know, I'm sure you're not a control freak like I am, but I love to, you know that if I'm doing something, it's gonna get done well, and how do I know that that's gonna happen? Because,
You
I know how to do it well, and I'm gonna do it, and, who's gonna pick up the kids from school? I am because, I'm gonna be able to, talk to the kids right away and hear their stories, and, you know, with all of that said, you wanna be able to delegate, things to your spouse, to your husband, to your kids, like you were saying, and it's actually going to help them, improve in those little things that later you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, Wendy, I am so happy that you, showed Jacqueline how to fold her clothes at age 7 because now she does it all and she helps her little brother, right? So those little things that are going to take, 15 minutes off your plate and, you know, talking to your husband on, schedules and, what they could help with. And I mean, most of the time in my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he's not going to want to do it. And he may think, I need to do it. But it's the opposite of that. He's like, yeah, I can pick them up and yeah, anything to help. It's so much easier than what we make it think.
Yes, we have to get out of our own ways, ladies, right? You have to get out of your own way. Don't be your biggest enemy. Yeah. And the other thing
Right.
that I've had to learn with my husband, and I try to share this with other married friends, like, they're not going to do it the way you do it. Don't fuss at him. If you don't like it, just go behind him and do it, but don't let him see you because you want him to continue to do it, right? At least it's done. Can't get to it. So, yeah, there is a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves, that society puts on us, that maybe even mamas and aunties and grandmas have put on us. And I think that we just have to know that we can take what they've taught us, but we can make it work for us, and then we can share that. Because what works for me may not work for you, but let me give you, like, I have a lieutenant that I'm mentoring right now, and she's like, "Oh, I just needed someone." There's kind of like what you said, there's nobody around, there's no woman that's helping me. So thank you, ma'am, for giving me time. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not overly formal. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. You're welcome." Um, but it's like we just have to pour into each other. And we have
Oh,
to,
yes.
it's like, "You've given me the answer." I said, "No, I gave you an answer. I gave you a solution, but you take that now, you run with it." So,
Yes, I love that. And, with that, so tell us a little bit more about what you do with Master It All, because I'm really curious on learning more about, how you get to Master It All within, the coaching that you're giving these women. And also, how do you do that?
so with my programs, MIA, I was gonna say, if you are not familiar with the military, we love an acronym. So a lot of times people see MIA and they're like, missing in action. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to be missing in action. I want you to master it all, right? So with the program, I have about 3 different programs right now, and I'm thinking about adding a fourth one, which I will be going into. I have a TEDx talk coming up, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh,
Uh,
when is that? Do you know?
it's on April 29th.
Yay.
So I will keep you informed on that once it's all done and sent out. But really, Master It All, it's, the program I kind of spoke about earlier about FACE. It's an acronym. It's about a 10-week program we would go through and basically educating young women and their support systems, because it's so important if you're in the military to have a support system. That means that can, like, make or break you.
Yeah.
So 10-week program just to kind of get them to understand what is expected, understand what they want out of it, and us to create a roadmap. And so when they get ready to go speak with a recruiter, if they go ROTC or if they go OCS, there's like so many different ways, or if they just want to be enlisted, that we have a game plan for them. Another program I have is Balance Yourself. So that's for my busy mamas
Love it.
program, and just really where you can, leverage your, make a list and leverage your people. And how do you, see where you want to be? What is the end state for you? And then how do you not lose yourself in the midst of that? Because once you get married and you're a mom and you're a business person and it's like, but who are you and where are you? Even if you have evolved. And then the last is believe in yourself. Because with COVID and everything else, we've had so many issues with our minds.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what are we capable of? What do I want to do? Who am I? Like, all this self-reflection, and that is really using certifications that I've received, whether it's the NLP Neurologistics programming, like, to help
Mhm.
you with your mindset, um, and not that I'm a licensed therapist, but these are just techniques that I've gone through some training to help with overcoming, things that you may just have obstacles with. And so, but everything kinda geared toward women because 'cause I'm just, like, not super, super feminist because I do have certain other beliefs that I believe in and but, just to pour into our women, and
Yeah,
especially our young. And the 4th one, which will go into the TEDx, is, GI squared, get inspired, get involved, and that's really to, empower the next generation. Like, how do we get our young girls middle school and up, like, "You think you wanna do this? Okay, well, then let us have you shadow someone who's done that. Oh, I think I wanna do this. Well, let me link you with that so you can see if that's really what you wanna do." So we have a return on investment of your time and your money and your parents, you
and your
know?
parents.
And your parents, because 'cause we're all working hard my plan is to work hard to help these next generations to be the best that they can be because there's so much stuff out there and you're gonna feed your mind with something, so just trying to be a positive influence and kinda help people get on the right path.
Absolutely.
So
I
one-on-one
love everything.
coaching one-on-one
Yeah,
coaching, eventually you might get to group coaching. I can foresee, like, retreats, like, bringing everybody together because there's something to be said about community, being part of the military, that, like, the largest fraternity
exactly.
ever. Um, so yeah, so just
I
I
love
wanna
it.
do all of that, all of that.
Yeah, I love it. And, with that, you did bring up a good point earlier, with not only all the programs that you talked about, right, that you're involved in and, how you're contributing to the community, but more so too, when you talked about how COVID just gave us, this sense of like, who are we, identity and everything, right? And I think that that was a time when, we just had a time where that's all we could do is stay with our thoughts, stay with our mind. And we're not used to that. Again, that was across, the board with women and men. And I think that that was a challenging moment for everyone, not because of the uncertainty, but because of what was going on in everybody's minds of like, "Oh gosh, who am I? And it's 2020 and, you know, am I supposed to be somewhere else?" And, a lot of thoughts came flooding and we don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to manage our brain. No one ever taught us that. And I mean, coming from, my Hispanic background, we don't talk about our emotions. Like we're emotional human beings, but it's not something that we're like, okay, Wendy, like, why are you angry? Why are you frustrated? That's not what we talk about. It's more like, okay, go take your anger somewhere else, get out of my face.
Go deal with that.
And yeah,
You're done. Come on
you're
back
done.
and join us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like it's time to move forward. We don't have time
yeah,
to, be in this, pity party. And,
right.
you know, it kind of like worked, for me a little bit, but also against me because growing up as an adult, and like you said, there was no one to kind of talk about my emotions in the military. I mean, we have primarily men, and they don't talk about their emotions. Like, this is
Suck
the
it up, get
military.
over it. Yes.
Yeah, like, suck it up and drive on, right? Like, get it together.
Totally.
Get it together, LT. Like, we don't bring that into the community, right? So, I love that you brought that up because we need more of you, right? We need more coaches that are going to help us, see what's going on in our brains because
Mm.
one of the things that I always, mess around with my kids and, I tell them, I'm like, I know what you're thinking. And they're like, no, you can't. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're thinking, but because you did this, right? I know where that's stemming from because I'm working backwards. And I tell them the reason you did this is because you're frustrated and you're frustrated because you're believing this one thing. And they're like, you do know what I'm thinking. And I'm like, "Well, I've learned to really help, other people understand why they're doing the things that they're doing, right? Why they're not doing the things that they want to do, but
Right.
they're not doing. They're stuck. They are overwhelmed. They're burnt out. And so, with that, I think that the more women that are able to do that, or even men as well, right? The more of us that can really, um, be an impact and continue to empower one another and let everyone know that it's okay
Okay.
that, that we have a brain and it's working. It's functioning because we're creating all these negative emotions as we're supposed to, right? I mean, so I think that, um, which, I want to bring up another great point that you said, you said, you consider yourself a feminist and you also, are for men as well. And, I think that that's what this is all about because the way I see it, the more we can empower our women, our female counterparts, the better our men are going to be as
Yeah,
well.
for sure.
So I think that, you doing this and starting this, with, I believe you said about face and now going into, GI squared, which I think is a great thing. And you said it's inspired and
Get inspired. So that's the first GI. Get involved. That's the second GI.
got
GI
it.
squared, and then empowering the next generation.
Love
So
it.
it's really like to bring those two forces together. Where are the young people wanting to go, and those of us that are, eventually we want to retire, right? Eventually you
Yeah.
want to like, hey kids, come take care of me, right? That's what we're trying to
Right.
get to. So how do we bridge those two? And also for the organizations, like companies and the military, whoever, we have to teach them so they can continue to do the things that need to be done.
Right.
So if you have all these older people leave and not share what they know, how does that help anybody?
Right.
And I've heard, like, the organizer that's gonna be doing the TEDx that I'm doing in April, she's like, "I just read an article about some female leader that was like, well, I've made it. So these other girls coming up are gonna have to figure it out. Like, I had to go through my own stuff. They have to figure it out." Why are we not pouring into like, they're gonna have their own set of issues.
Right.
Don't fall in the same pitfalls that we fell in? So I'm just hoping that that second part, that get involved, like getting other amazing women to jump in and be like, yes, let's do our
Yes.
part. Let's help pour into, let's help inspire, let's help make them better than where we are, so they take that baton and they keep running this
Exactly.
race.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree 100% on that. And, with that, as we wrap up, what would you offer our listeners today? If there's anything that you would like to share, what would it be?
I would just share with you, like, take a beat. This is something my husband has shared with me, and I use it all the time now. He's like, "Go slow to go fast."
Love it.
So often we are like, "I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this." Sometimes you need to take a beat. So I would share, take a moment and think, what is it I really want to do? What is, like, if there was one thing that I could do for the rest of my life, paid or not paid, what would that be? And then how do you get after that so you can master that? Because that could open so many doors for you and people that you help. And if you're ready to do that, I am here to help you to master that. So let's get after it. Um, I think you have all my information for them to contact me. And I'm excited to work with and to serve with and to pour into amazing women. So yeah, there's a lot of distractions in the world, but just take a beat. Let's go slow to go fast, because if you go slow and you set that foundation,
Love it.
yeah, you'll get to that result
Yes.
really quick.
100%. And, thank you so much for sharing that with us because it's true, right? Like take a beat. I love that. And, you know, going with, master it all, right? I'm a true believer of constraint. And I think that that is something that we can all learn to not only do, but like you say, master. So, Jada, what's a great way for our listeners to connect with you, either through social media or email?
So my email is Jada Hartfield Consulting at gmail.com. And then I don't keep all those things in my head. So I think you have all of my
Yeah.
addresses. I am on Instagram where I met the great Wendy. And I'm also on Facebook, and I have a Master It All page out there. So definitely join that. I'm starting to get more involved with that and putting tidbits of information. Cause yeah, I just want to share, just want to
Love it.
pour
Yeah.
into.
And you're right. All of Jada's information is going to be in the show notes. So connect with her there and you have her email as well. So, ladies, I hope that you took notes. I hope that you have not only enjoyed this episode, but also that this episode resonated with you and we pray that you take some of these tools, take some of what Jada had shared with you to really start putting this in action, right? Find that one thing, take a beat, and the rest will come. And again, Jada, thank you so much for joining us. And I just hope that everyone else has a beautiful rest of your week. All right, you guys. Bye.